Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak to you on behalf of the Superior Watershed Partnership, or SWP as we call it. As Richard stated, I am a board member of SWP, retired from a law practice down in Chicago, where I sat across the table from David Ulrich when he was at EPA, and we negotiated some settlements on behalf of my clients who were major corporations similar to Rio Tinto, and he on behalf of the government. When I got involved last year, or several years ago, with the board of SWP, I've enjoyed that and very much enjoyed being able to retire to Marquette and become involved in the community, and basically switched my black hat for a white hat as an environmental advocate. What is the Superior Watershed Partnership? It's an unusual name. It's a nonprofit organization that's been around for about 15 years here in the central UP, basically founded by our current executive director, Carl Lindquist. And its mission is water quality protection, habitat restoration, and pollution prevention on a watershed basis. We're now at the point where we've got approximately $1 million a year budget and work throughout the UP. One of the examples of the work that SWP does is develop watershed management plans. These are a plan that is established by national standards on how to manage a watershed effectively, and then work with the local community governmental agencies to implement that plan. One of the plans that they implemented or drafted and implemented is on the Salmon Trout River, which is very notable because the Eagle Mine that Matt spoke about is in the headwaters of the Salmon Trout River. The Salmon Trout is one of the last, if not the last, river on the south coast of Lake Superior that still has native coastal brook trout. It's subject to studies, both academic and practical, on those brook trout. And obviously, one of the issues in this community with the coming of the Eagle Mine was whether the sulfide drainage from that mine would destroy the Salmon Trout River and pollute Lake Superior. As you've heard, mining is necessary, and as you've also heard from Mike, it can have very serious implications environmentally, and that affect both the environment and human health in the communities where they serve. Certainly the UP has experienced that with our legacy of mining. So how did SWP and the CEMP, the Community Environmental Monitoring Program, come about? For the entire time of development of the mine, the Eagle Mine, it was very controversial in this community. There were lots of groups, lots of individuals who were opposed to it. That opposition took the form of several lawsuits, all of which have been successfully fought off by Rio Tinto and Eagle Mine. Took the form of a full-page newspaper ad taken out by a group of physicians who were opposed to the mine based on human health concerns. And it took the form of a very shrill, at times, dialogue over those years between different members of the community. Very disruptive, and I'm sure as mayors, if you've had any major development project, whether it be mining, oil or gas, even wind power, can be controversial in the community. And about 2 years ago, the final permits were approved by the state for the mine to proceed. And as Matt indicated, the community itself requested additional monitoring. They did not trust the MDEQ to adequately monitor, both because they're a bureaucracy that many people felt is in the pocket of industry in Michigan, and secondly because the MDEQ has limited resources and going forward may have even less resources given the current state of the economy and state budgets. So the community requested, through letters to the editor and in forums, that something more be done, an independent environmental monitoring program be set up. And they said, well, Eagle Mine, you're making the money, why don't you pay for this? I think it was more rhetoric than serious, but much to the amazement of everybody in the community, Rio Tinto, Eagle Mine stepped up and said, we're willing to do that. It was a shock. And then the question became, okay, if there's funding, who's going to do it? And that's where SWP came in. They reached out looking for organizations that were capable of doing it. SWP has the scientific expertise. They have the monitoring experience, having done other monitoring and similar type things. And they've got the community outreach skills. But most importantly, and fundamentally, they've got the respect, the well-earned respect and trust of the community as an environmental spokesperson and protector. And that was essential because it wasn't going to do Rio Tinto any good to fund a program that no one believed in, just like they didn't believe in the state monitoring. They didn't trust it. So it had to be an independent organization that had the trust of the community like like SWP. The concept is, and this is a very conceptual overall, that we have Rio Tinto doing the funding into the community foundation, which serves as a trustee and a firewall between the mine with the funding and SWP doing the work. The fund pays SWP for the work as it's done. And then an essential part of this is that SWP is listening to the community, has an active outreach program to invite the community to comment, as well as tell the community what the data is and what the data means. We negotiated for over 6 months on a weekly basis, every Wednesday afternoon, spent time together in developing this plan. It is unique in the world as far as we know. It's the first time this has ever been done in this kind of exact format, where the community gets to control the funding that is provided by the mine. There are 2 essential legal agreements there, which, as Matt indicated, are in your thumb drive. So you've got copy. We deliberately did not copyright these because we want to get the word out. We want other people to look at them and use them, if you will. The one agreement is between Rio Tinto and the Community Foundation, and that governs how the mine will pour the funds. It's actually twice a year. They put $150,000 for a total of $300,000 every year into the community fund. Then the community fund pays Rio Tinto or SWP. The second agreement is between Rio Tinto and SWP, and that establishes the scientific standards to which SWP will work. Again, it wouldn't do any good if they were spending all this money but not getting results, data that were defensible, that were scientifically valid. This is the same diagram that Matt showed you, but I just want to point out a couple of things, again, from SWP's point of view. Okay. We did build in a provision for additional funding. We negotiated long and hard on the amount of funding, the $300,000 that Rio Tinto is putting in. At SWP, we think that is barely enough to provide a thorough and defensible monitoring program, but we would like to see more, and we will be reaching out to other organizations to try to increase that funding. So that's where that comes in. There is this board of 5 people appointed by the Community Foundation. They're from the community, and they serve as the overseers of the program. Significantly, they also resolve any disputes that may arise between Rio Tinto and SWP, such as whether additional monitoring should be done of a specific nature. And it was very crucial to SWP that all decision-making, all responsibility for this program remain here in the local community. This was a very, I will say, a very difficult pill, difficult demand for Rio Tinto to swallow, particularly their legal staff, that they would not have the right to go to court to challenge a dispute. But eventually they did, and I got to hand it to Rio Tinto because I could hear my former clients' reaction to that suggestion. They just wouldn't have done it, but Rio Tinto did. Once SWP gets the data, they put it on their website. There's interpretation. The website is very comprehensive. It's capable of being, you're capable of going onto the website, anybody is, and drilling down to the raw data itself, or you can start at the report card on the initial one, which gives you a summary of the data and what it means. So outreach and informing the community is going to be a key part of this program. Two primary parts: verification monitoring. SWP will be duplicate sampling from the data that the mine gathers on its own pursuant to its permits to ensure that the permit data gathered by Rio Tinto is valid. And secondly, SWP can decide to do additional monitoring beyond that required by the permits as determined. And significantly, SWP will seek community input and listen to the community. We've had some suggestions. We've actually made modifications to the monitoring work plan based on community input already. This is very much a community-based program. The monitoring will go on through all phases: construction currently, operation, and closure of the mine. This is just a sample of or the website as it comes on. It's interrelated. All the data is GIS keyed, so you can go to the data point and find the data. You can actually see where on the mine, which well that data came from. Very robust and transparent feedback to the community. As an example of this program, it's only been up and running for about 9 months from last fall, but we recently had an example of how it works and how it can work, and I think a very good example of what a good program it is. Relatively recently, a couple of months ago, SWP found some very low-level uranium in a sump pump that was collecting wastewater at the mine. It was contained, but it was unexpected. SWP then worked with the mine to duplicate sample to verify that that was not an anomalous result. It was not. It was really there. And then SWP went public with it, even though there was some disagreement with the mine over how that should be done. But SWP felt like its responsibility was to take that to the public and explain to the public what it meant. Ultimately, additional sampling was done, and SWP was able to verify to the public that there was no contaminated wastewater leaking or getting out, and that the wastewater treatment system out at the mine was working as it was designed and removing the uranium. So the net impact was there was an unexpected occurrence of a dangerous compound, potentially dangerous compound. SWP worked through it and was able to reassure the community what that meant. The result of that was an editorial from the local mining journal applauding what was done and how it was done, and noting that SWP is truly independent in the monitoring program, despite the reservations that many people had about whether that was going to be true or not, given the funding coming from the mine. I will note anecdotally that there are several individuals and organizations in the community that are opposed to the mine, have worked against the mine, have even initiated some of the lawsuits challenging the permits for the mine. Anecdotally, over the last few months, individuals have said to me or to other SWP board members or staff members that they greatly appreciate this KEMP, the independent monitoring program, and they think it's a great thing for the community. So the bottom line is, if you're going to have mining, as Steve said, you better have it. More monitoring is better, and if you can get the party that's making the money off of the mine to pay for it, so much the better. This is a model. We want to spread the word. We want to encourage other communities to consider using it. It will only happen if you demand it. I was very impressed in the meeting last Friday when Lundin endorsed it and said they were going to use it at other mines, consider it for other mine locations. I think that's very significant. That's now 2 mining companies, Rio Tinto and Lundin, that have both said this is a great state-of-the-art program for how you interact with the community. I know Rio Tinto also shared that when they were shopping the Eagle mine to other mining companies looked at this KEMP program as part of the package, and they also said, boy, this is impressive. We're looking at a new way of doing things. So I think that I have great hopes that this will spread and become a good way for communities to get additional monitoring and to reassure the community of what's being done with these kind of projects. I think personally that there has been a significant lowering in the rhetoric in the community since the program was out there. SWP and Rio Tinto have worked very hard to spread the word about it, and I think that's good for the community as well as the substance of the additional data gathering that's going on. And that's the program, and I hope you have some questions because this is a very innovative program that will hopefully be a model for other communities.
Thank you very much.